don't know about all you out there, but misfortune upon misfortune upon more misfortune for the Blue Bombers tonight. They lose 41-20, their second straight loss of the season, and an opportunity to capture, I mean, they played 2 bye weeks and other teams haven't had any, but a chance to capture a piece of first place in the West Division. And they lose their starting quarterback. They make some boneheaded decisions that result in penalties, costly ones. And the offense without Collaros just couldn't get the job done. But we're going to get into it all. Welcome around the bonfire, everybody. Game day after dark here on Bonfire Sports. Darrin Bauming, 𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙚 always joins us here on the post-game show. But 𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙚, for better or worse, this week and this result of this game, he's in New York City for a family wedding. So he will not be joining us tonight, but he'll be back next week. And, you know, the 9 weeks after that as the Bombers go 11 straight games, starting with tonight's, before their next bye. But we have a special guest coming in. Old friend of the show. Old friend of mine. We knew each other back in high school. Jeff Hamilton, the Winnipeg Free Press. The president, El Presidente, the president of the Football Reporters of Canada, joining us on the program. We're going to get into all of the video highlights, lowlights, all of it here on the post game. Great to see everybody in the live chat. Monica, good to see you back. Dawson, haven't seen you before. Watching on X or Twitter. Holy smokes, Stamps with back-to-back statement games. You could almost say back-to-back-to-back statement games as they've won 3 straight following their first loss of the season, the crummy weather game against the Red Blacks. Then they have a bye. And then they beat Winnipeg in Calgary. They beat Saskatchewan in Regina. They beat the Bombers in Winnipeg tonight, 41-20. We'll look at the stats, and I guess that's where we could start tonight. Let's get into the offense. Vernon Adams Jr., look. This guy is the MOP frontrunner right now. 267 yards, 3 touchdowns, picked off by Evan Holm tonight. Holm's got a handful of picks already this year. He had none last year. Dedrick Mills with 5.5 yards per carry, 70 on the ground. Tevin Jones, Dom Rhymes gets his first touchdown as a member of the Stamps. Jalen Philpott, those 3 had a pair of second down conversions apiece. They were rolling. Look, here's Chris Streveler's numbers. We're going to get into it all. Zach Collaros' numbers, man, I thought the offense looked meh and then very promising. And then Collaros went down as he threw an interception. But, getting hit on that play had no effect on the interception. But let's take a look at the play in question. This is a clean hit. This is a clean football play. And it's Clarence Hicks, Calgary's defensive end, who runs a twist move. That's essentially 2 guys kind of like a twist tie, going from left to right and right to left, crossing each other, scissors, whatever you want to call it. But a twist is what my buddy Chris Walby calls it. And we'll pull it back. Hicks runs a twist, and he's able to deliver a blow on Zach Collaros. And we're not going to look at this all day, but I do want fans to see that it's a clean hit. And I want fans to see it's not the hit that hurt Collaros. Watch his head after the hit. It's when he hits the turf there. That's what puts players into concussion protocol. It's that bounce off the turf. It's whiplash. It's whatever you want to call it. But Collaros did leave the game, did not return, and went pretty much straight to the locker room. Walked off the field after a few moments under his own power and straight to the locker room. We know Collaros' injury history. We know what has kind of plagued him or affected him throughout his entire professional career, and that is shots to the head and concussions. And I sure hope that he is able to come back from this one. I sure hope that Zach Collaros has more football in him and more football in him this season. But when you have the history that he does, we don't know. Big question mark. And a tough pill to swallow for Bombers Nation. No doubt about that. But we're not going to go on and on about that. The Bombers had a football game to play from that point. And, I tweeted a little bit earlier what the offense was able to do, if you want to put it that way, what they were able to do without Collaros, and that's with Chris Streveler in at quarterback. And let's see if I can pull it up here. Yeah, here it is. With Chris Streveler in at quarterback, they went 3 plays and a punt. They went 9 plays and a kneel down to enter halftime with no points. They then went 12 plays and a very promising drive here. Like Nick Dembski was going off, and Cody Case, old South Dakota State teammate of Chris Streveler's, those two connect on a great play and a jet sweep where Case was able to gain the edge. It was Dembski and Carrick Wheatfall with a really nice blocking scheme on that outside to give Case the edge. And here, I got it. Let's take a look at it. My guy Zeno, Zachary Nolan, Nolan Hockey Podcast on YouTube, everybody. Go check that out if you want some instant reaction videos from the young man on the Winnipeg Jets. This was a great play. And at this point, 4-point ball game, and Winnipeg was threatening. A lot of Dembski, a lot of Oliveira. This was a 12-play drive. Well, 11 plays until Streveler throws a really costly interception. Really costly interception. I love the way they broke. Did we lose it here? Sorry about that. This was a beautiful play. I thought Paul Lapalisse did a great job telestrating it on TSN, where everybody crashes down to the right, and Cody Case, not Dylan Mitchell, just saying, takes the jet sweep the other way. Wrong way play, as Paul Lapalisse called it on the broadcast on TSN. And it set them up in beautiful position to put points on the board. Beautiful position to put points on the board. And unfortunately, this is what resulted. Anytime you throw a pick in the end zone, in the red zone, and in this case, at the goal line, absolutely backbreaking, because you go from scoring 6 to the other team having the ball. And the Stampeders went 9 plays, 89 yards, and extended their lead to 11 with a Damian Alford 42-yard touchdown grab. To me, that'll be a little bit later when Jeff Hamilton joins us. To me, that was the bonfire burning point. We're going to get into that. Love to get Jeff's bonfire burning point tonight. Walby's Warrior, Westwood Wide to the right. We'll hand out some game balls for better or worse, and have a Happy Honker award. I have a feeling I know what the Happy Honker is going to. Great to see Milt back in his second home, Winnipeg, Manitoba. The outpouring of support here in Winnipeg and in Manitoba, but also across the country, in pockets and special areas across the United States, outpouring of love for the Stegall family after a real tragic and sudden loss of their son, Chase, a couple months ago. Really, really tough. Robert Campbell, great question. Good to see you in the live chat, Robert. What's the succession plan for QB1? It's Chris Streveler. I don't see, I really don't see Terry Wilson being an option at quarterback for the Blue Bombers. I just don't see it being somebody that that Winnipeg is going to be comfortable going with to start football games at quarterback. I think Chris Streveler, with the right game plan from Jason Hogan, could probably help Winnipeg win some games, but it's going to be tough. I mean, they got a stretch of 10 straight games here and a 3-2 record now. You lost the season series against the Stamps. They're going to play them again in a couple weeks. They better beat the Rough Riders on Labor Day in the Banjo Bowl. They better win that season series. They've won the season series against BC, but you got to make hay while the sun is shining, as they say. Speaking of which, gracing us with his presence on a late night. Hey, Jeff, how are you, man?
Hey, sorry, man. You didn't give me much of a heads up to come in. I was checking out. I know I put up the YouTube to see all the, I'm sure really educated comments. So I'm ready to go, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Is the vibe right? I was going to turn down the lights a little bit more, and then I turned them up a little bit more.
I can play with your camera.
Seriously,
I can handle
like as far as the lightness
from here. Oh yeah, check it out. Look, I can make you brighter. It'll make you a little brighter. How about we zoom you out a little bit? Oh yeah. There you go. Look good. Good to see the Hammer. Jeff Hamilton of the Winnipeg Free Press, everybody. Yeah, great to see everybody in the live chat. Let us know how you're doing. Lots of people have thoughts on tonight's game. Jeff, before you hopped on, we looked at the hit on Zach Collaros from Clarence Hicks. Looked at Chris Streveler's interception at the goal line, which to me, that was the bonfire burning point tonight, the moment that this game really swung in the victor's favor, the Calgary Stampeders tonight. Do you have a moment that stands out to you as, maybe the burning point in this game?
Better than that interception? I would say, what was it? Was it a touchdown later when the Bombers decided to put one defender on two players, leading to Dominic Rhymes' touchdown, obvious touchdown at the end there? I mean, that I felt the game was already out of reach, but that one kind of put the game
31-13
completely in the books. That's when if you're right in the game or you're ready. That put the nail in the coffin. As crazy as the CFL is and can be, and as much as it's known for comebacks, at that point, this team was done. Yeah.
Let's take a look at that play. It's 24-13, early fourth quarter. And I think this was the play that set it up. What was this here? This was the PI on Evan Holm. So, yeah, you know what, Jeff? It's interesting you mentioned that because there was the spearing penalty on Willie Jefferson. That brought them from, what was it, the 29 to the 14-yard line, a 15-yard penalty. To me, unnecessary by Willie J. Completely unnecessary. And then this PI, I saw it as Evan Holm. Here, I'll pull it back. I saw this as Evan Holm in trail position, and like he knew he was getting beat, so he just hung on for dear life to the jersey.
And if you watch, he drops the ball there. That's a drop as far as I'm concerned. He's there, but that's a drop. Watching that live, I'm like, oh, that's a touchdown. Then
you could argue that the jersey pull kept him from that 3 more inches, maybe.
But I mean,
right?
Dominic Rhymes should be catching that ball, period, right? And then that's the play right there. If you want to rewind there, if you look at it, there's one Bomber player and 2 Stamps. Simple math tells you you're screwed.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, Evan Holm's fast, maybe the fastest DB in the CFL, at least up there, but he's not that fast.
Yeah. Waiters, our good friend, sharing sentiments I think reflect what a lot of people are feeling tonight. Waiters.
Well, 3-1.
I hate football.
Feels and looks a lot better than 3-2, right? 3-2 is getting close to 500. 3-1, you're a team that just had 1 hiccup, right? Now 2 hiccups.
Yeah.
To the same team and both beat downs. right? These are, I mean, I think we're at a situation now where we're all confidently going to say that at least through the first third of the season, the Calgary Stampeders are the best team in the league. I mean,
100%.
three-phase football. What Vernon Adams is doing on offense has been great. I mean, he started slow as far as the touchdown passes went, but he was still finding the end zone with his drives. They were still averaging a decent amount of points, but he's caught fire this last few games, and it pales in comparison to the play of the defense. I mean, maybe we want to blame Lapo here a little bit. I don't know if for those listening to the game, I mean, they talked about how, okay, this is a good drive. This is a nice drive by Chris Streveler, but now you got to make sure you're not throwing a costly mistake. Calgary leads the league in red zone turnovers, and sure enough, one play later, that's it. I mean, that's the play of this defense. This defense has been, I mean, they seem like they're pissed off at the world. I mean, they're not, and they're much like when the Bombers were rolling through teams. Yeah, Zach Collaros was doing his thing on offense. He was getting things done, but it was the defense that was carrying the team.
Yeah. Just going back to show this Jefferson spearing penalty. That is, well, how about this? I don't know if you caught that, Jeff, but Vernon Adams Jr.,
I'm looking at it now.
He was waiting for that flag. He wanted that flag. You're going to get that flag every time, and kind of just does the basketball hoop and sends the flag through it. But it was that 15-yard penalty that set the Stampeders up on the 14-yard line. Then the PI to Evan Holm, dropped ball, but a PI nonetheless, and then a touchdown that put them up 31-13. You could say it's probably curtains at that point. Yeah, I mean, either of those, both of those worthy bonfire burning points tonight. If you're in the live chat, let us know your bonfire burning point. Would love to see that. Robert Campbell, this is interesting. This will sound crazy, but I was more confident in the Bombers last year when they were 0-4. I don't know if I believe you, Robert.
Yeah, that seems like recency bias. I mean, 0-4, the Bombers didn't look great, and they were battling with injuries, right? I mean, they were hit with the injury bug pretty quickly, navigated through that, but they also had a lot of moving pieces, and it's been written about and talked about for sure, but even Mike O'Shea knew with the changes on the roster it was going to take some time. But I'm with you, and you've said this over and over. This team's much better than last year's team. You know, it's just it needs to work, right? I mean, maybe you factor in age on some of the guys, like Stanley Bryant, like Patrick Neufeld, Zach Collaros potentially. But, I mean, that even isn't, those guys aren't falling off a cliff in a season necessarily. But
this team sorry, pardon me.
No, just saying this team to me is like, I mean, you look at, like, you're looking at 2 losses to the same team, right? And much like you were looking at 2 wins against the same BC team early in the season when everybody thought that the Bombers were going to rip through the West because they, handed the BC Lions 2 losses. That's exactly what's happening here with Calgary. And so I think it's pretty safe to say we don't know what this Bomber team is going to look like. They're not as dominant perhaps as we thought early on, but I also don't think they're as bad as maybe the last 2 games suggest because they're playing against a really hot team that's got an incredible defense.
John Chan says, with Winnipeg hosting the Grey Cup this year, how did management not pursue a solid 1B or 2A quarterback in Vernon Adams Jr.? Well, you can't pay 2 quarterbacks a collective $1.2 million or 1.05, like you can't pay 2 starting quarterbacks, and VA was going to get starting quarterback money. That's just the way it is.
Now they're picking him. You're making him your starting quarterback of your job.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, talking about them sitting at 3-0, they then go into Calgary. Calgary's coming off a bye and their first loss of the season. It's the inaugural Stampede Bowl. They're going to play Winnipeg tough because at that point, I think they were 12-13 against Mike O'Shea's Blue Bombers. And now they're 14-13. But essentially a 50-50 split between these teams since O'Shea's been the head coach of Winnipeg. And Zach Collaros is a gunslinger, man. That you're going to live by the sword, die by the sword, live and die by the fire. And he threw 2 pick sixes. And that was, in my opinion, the the defense didn't play particularly well. The, special teams got beat as well. They lost all three phases. They lost the turnover battle, and 2 pick sixes. You're going to lose a football game on the road. No question. So that's a bad Zach Collaros. Like, I thought he was good other than those 2 picks. I really do, in Calgary a couple weeks ago. But either way, you lost because of those 2 pick sixes. And then tonight you lose because he gets knocked out of the game on a clean hit. It's unfortunate. It's a violent game. But
Zach still had 2 picks.
Yeah.
Didn't he? Correct.
One
pick.
One. I'll pull it up.
No, 2 picks. 2 picks, man. I mean, they didn't return for touchdowns, but he wasn't protecting the ball when he had it, right? Like, it wasn't like it looked like they were in the game.
Yeah. I got it here. Here we go. Yeah, here's the first one. Johnson with the interception off of Zach Collaros. Late first quarter on a 2nd and 10. Yeah, I mean, you're throwing into...
Well, Cody Case there, man. I mean, the guy, like, I don't know if that guy needs to get new shoes, if he needs to get glue on his shoes.
He fell, right?
All game. I mean, he looked like Mark Scheifele in the
Bambi legs
in his first rookie camp. You know what I mean? Like, it was. He just, even when he caught the touchdown at the end of the game, like, he was, but
like Case. Like you're still
that one was still overthrown.
Collaros is gunslinging, right? He's throwing into an area with 3 defenders and a guy who has 1 catch for 5 yards in his CFL career coming into today. Like, that's... Ugh.
He threw it in a spot though that Case would be safe. I don't know why he committed to the run like that. Like, it's like he falls over, man. It's like he trips and tries to fix it by looking like he's about to catch a ball that's nowhere near him, so it's like
it's this,
and that was his first target at Case.
Yeah, it's this right foot you can see in the middle of the screen. Case is planting, and then you would think he would jump and get the ball, jump and go for the ball. Yeah, I don't think this is a bad football from Collaros, because if he plants here and jumps straight up, like, you can see the football, it's right on that booster juice. It's probably a safe. I don't mind that football from Collaros. I really don't. Upon watching it again.
Well, I'm not going to love on it. I mean,
well, no. I'm saying I don't hate it.
Like, you like the spiral, or like?
Yeah, I just mean I don't hate it. Like, some picks, you're like, oh, bad throw, right?
Yeah.
Can I show you? Can I?
Is there an uglier one? Because that one wasn't on the same page as his receiver. So when you get it down to what's an ugly pick is determining who was off on the route.
Well, what I'm saying is, if Case didn't fall, I think that's a catch. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a dangerous throw into 3, but
I just think he's falling when the ball's in the air, like he's like, or before the ball's in the air even. I mean, it's like,
oh no,
he didn't seem firm on his feet.
I'll show you. Whoops, wrong one. Here we go. I got the video here. You'll see Case. There's the ball right there on the video board. So the ball is I don't know, 10 yards from Case here, and he falls. You can see the ball there. He falls. I think that's a catchable ball if he doesn't lose his feet. That's what I'm saying. I just don't think that one is particularly on Collaros. I mean, we can debate that till the cows come home. To me, the worst pick today was my Bonfire burning point, and that was the interception at the goal line. They put together a great drive, 11 plays. They're marching the field. It's a good dose of Brady. It's a good dose of Wheatfall and a lot of Dembski. And it's like suddenly Chris Streveler is making something happen with the offense, and he throws a pick at the goal line on a play. I don't think
an ugly pick.
Yeah, he shouldn't have thrown that football.
It looked like he was, when you look at the replay, I mean, obviously it's much different when you're the quarterback behind center and facing the bullets of professional football players. But when you look at the replay, it looks like he throws it, like, it just looks like the perfect opportunity to pick off. Like a DB would be licking his lips after reviewing that tape as he turns his body that direction and just photographs the pass.
Yeah.
Like,
you can see his
their
intended
only
target.
option there, right? Yeah. The only
you can
option
see
there.
𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙚 at the top of your screen, cuts the quick out, and he's sitting there. He's waiting. And I mean, Green has all day to say, I'm going to wait. It's just off screen. But top right of your screen there, you see Adrian Green, and you see 𝘎𝙤𝙧𝙧𝙚 in the corner of the end zone, front corner.
You know what though, man? That's what they say when they say you have an NFL arm, firing that ball in that window. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at it, the velocity is just not there.
Well, I mean, I'm not making an excuse for him. I'm saying that's a hard ball to throw, throwing against your body like that. Sure. Like, just watch Chris Streveler. We've been watching the receiver and the DB. Watch Streveler. That's a hard ball to throw. It's all arm. But that was a bad pick. Shouldn't have thrown that football. And after that, 9-play, 89-yard touchdown drive. We showed Alford. Showed Alford
Moose
here.
Antlers.
Yeah, the Moose. Just like pump fake, scramble, turns and hurls it. And that's an easy touchdown to take a 24-13 lead.
Like, guy's a stud, man.
Yeah, that's the thing about Damien Alford, first overall draft pick in the 2025 CFL draft this year. That's the thing about him is he doesn't have a ton of volume, but he scores touchdowns. And coming into today, he was averaging 22.5 yards per catch, which is insane. He's just a big play, 50-50 ball guy. And when you're Vernon Adams Jr., and you're without Reggie Begelton, and you're without Malik Henry, who could come back this year after 2 years out of football. Insane. But now Clark Barnes is injured, and they've been out without him for a couple weeks. They're using Dom Rhymes, and they're using some of those other targets, but to have him to hurl the ball up to when, VA's scrambling and spinning and throwing.
Oh, man, the guy got drafted in May. He got drafted in May. He's a first overall pick in the draft. Yeah. The fact that he's contributing like this at all is incredible. Yeah. I mean, this is an absolute steal. This is what you dream of when you draft a player in first overall who isn't an O lineman that you pray might start. That's as good as it gets. And I think you can make the argument. I'm assuming he'll stay healthy. He's a strong, big kid. Doesn't look like looks like he's gonna be the hammer more often than the nail. I wonder, what the potential is for here. And when you compare first overall picks, I mean, they always need time, right? And I'm not saying this guy doesn't need time. He doesn't need seasoning. He isn't. But I mean, the chemistry he has with Vernon Adams is clear. And that relationship has been palpable over not just the last couple of weeks, but they've had that chemistry, not all season, because he really only got his big opportunity after Clark Barnes got hurt. Yeah. But VA has been a big fan of his and has talked to him up big time. And I mean, the Moose Antlers, this guy's balling, man. I mean, you compare him to other receivers around the league as far as touchdowns and level of clutchness, if you will. And I mean, he's up there with the Americans who are making, north of $200,000. I mean, he's already giving you more than what you would have expected from a receiver in the Canadian draft in the first round.
I'm just going to pull up Calgary's injured list. Okay. Clark Barnes, starting Canadian. Reggie Begelton, starting All-Star. Let alone Bryce Bell and Kyle Saxelid on the line. Malik Henry. They're missing dudes. But the guys that they do have are stepping up. There's Alford. Philpott, only getting better as the years go by. What is this, third year in the league? And Tevin Jones, this guy, free agent coming over from the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He's been really, really good. Just nice possession receiver, has that explosion. He's not a huge dude, but knows how to find space. All of those things. You add in Dedrick Mills, could be the best running back in the CFL. I don't know if you'd agree with that. Could be.
Who?
Dedrick Mills.
Who? best running back certainly so far.
Yep.
I mean,
and so
long as he can stay healthy, right? That's the big thing for Mills.
Yeah. So for Vernon
and
Adams
on the
Jr.
straight and narrow, apparently he's got some. I don't think he's a bad dude, but I like that commitment level was questioned over the last couple of years. Like he was out for, maybe he missed a meeting or something. I don't want to speculate, but it was for like behavior, things that were happening off the field. I don't know what I think Tevin Jones might have had his best game tonight though. Yeah. Watching him, like he's kind of been irrelevant this season. He's a guy that came over from Edmonton and has been a good player. He's kind of like a Dylan Mitchell, right?
Yeah, he was Sask before that. I think that's where I'm getting confused. I think he went from Sask to Edmonton. Yeah. Yeah. Peter D, could you make a highlight reel of Bridges' mistakes? Yeah, that's a young DB that is definitely getting targeted in Winnipeg's secondary. So yeah, I mean, to me, you have Vernon Adams Jr., who I think right now is reaping the benefits of having Dedrick Mills and having those talented receivers around him, and an offense that's playing outstanding right now. And then for the Blue Bombers, you kind of have the other side of it where right now, question marks around Zach Collaros. I mean, a concussion, but we have to say concussion protocol because no doubt that's what he is in right now. Left the game in the second quarter and did not return. But it leaves Winnipeg with a huge question mark right now of what this offense is going to look like without their QB1.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's easy to say concussion. Certainly, he would be on a concussion protocol as far as, the CFL definitely would have called down. Like, he wouldn't have come back.
Yeah.
I do think, though, it could be more than that. And by more than that, I'm not saying it's concussion or whatever. It could be something else. I mean, when you look at the impact in which Zach got hit, man, I mean, it could be ribs. Like what's to say his ribs were spared in that hit. And then as well, I mean, the hit, I think you might have mentioned in your tweet and others, but his head hits the turf after, right? It's a clean hit. It's a hard hit. But the damage seems to come after, and whether that's the whiplash in taking that hit, if it's the head hitting back, I mean, that alone right there is putting you in the tent, right? For concussion protocol. And Zach hasn't been hit like that. I think it warrants. Now I think it's the B gap there, but like that's the left side.
Yeah, they twist. Yeah.
So
you see 𝘽𝙤𝙧𝙚. Watch the left side of your screen. There's Vanterpool. There's 𝘽𝙤𝙧𝙚. He's kind of chasing Hicks there, and unable to get to him. But to me, it's the moment his head hits the turf. It's a clean hit. Like, man, it's awful to see that. Awful to see that.
And I mean, where does this put the Bombers, right? I mean,
that's what I mean.
Are they in a situation like Montreal where Zach misses? He has to miss only a few games. Does that put them in? I looking at what we saw tonight. Chris Streveler doesn't provide a lot of hope. However, again, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, man, when we were talking about how great Chris Streveler played in week 1 against BC and how, he proved to everybody that he's a passer, right? Like, that's the finicky thing about professional sports. That narrative can go up and down depending on how you play, but it's obviously not great. I mean, it's not an ideal situation for Winnipeg to have Collaros out. Chris Streveler, Perry Wilson. I mean, you look at the upcoming games here, and maybe the timing's right? You got 2 back-to-back games against Toronto, but Toronto looked pretty good against Montreal, and they're going to be pissed off after losing that game by a single point.
Yeah.
You're not going to be in good because all of a sudden, we all know how the Nick Arbuckle Toronto Argonauts have done against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So
yeah,
it's not an easy, maybe it is a ideal situation, but I'm still not looking at Toronto as 2, free spaces on the bingo card by any means. And we, this could be the time that Chad Kelly comes back.
Good point.
So They might be getting them at the wrong time.
Head coach Mike O'Shea spoke moments ago.
Probably the same from the last one. Not very good. I thought we weren't very smart in the first half, and then we just weren't very good in the second. So you add those two up. Just, this is the outcome, right? So we'll get better.
Do you have an update at all on Zach? Is it?
I don't know.
Okay. It looked like it was maybe ahead, but I don't know. You can't even share that.
No, I think you're speculating.
Yeah, I'm asking.
I'm not going to speculate.
Okay.
I don't have an update, I said.
The explosive plays now from even last meeting between you guys and now this one, I think it was 4 tonight. Is there anything that's sticking out to you as far as just the explosive plays that your defense has given up?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple that are just really goofy, that there's really no explanation except guys feel terrible that they messed something up. But yeah, I think once again you could probably find a root cause for one, and then it might be a different cause for another, right? It's not just communication, right? But a couple of them were just poor plays.
I know it's always, I can imagine, it's always tough when you're just losing your starting quarterback, but I'm wondering if the sting of this one maybe even goes a little bit beyond that. I mean, you already talked about how, in particular, the second half.
I thought Strev did a great job. Drove all the way down that first. I think it was the first drive first drive of the third quarter. Marched all the way down the field, methodical, and then just probably 3 or 4 different decisions on that 1st and 7 play. I think we could be a little more friendly to the quarterback in that situation. I think we could make a different decision. All those things. It adds up to a big play against, but once again, I think the most important thing is all the guys are working really hard, and they will come in with a good mindset tomorrow to learn and be better than they were. And we all just learn at our own pace.
And I guess also where I was going with that as well was, I'm just wondering, do you feel you guys were good enough coming off of a 2-week rest?
Well, obviously not.
Maybe just overall effort.
Were we good enough?
Right.
No, the effort. They're working hard at it, right? Just we didn't play well enough, and I think we made, especially in the first half, we didn't make some great decisions. We took some penalties that were costly, and those are decisions that guys are making. We gave the ball away a little bit, and once again in the second half, I just don't think certain aspects we didn't play well enough.
Those are the things you meant when you said not smart in the first half?
Yeah.
Penalties and
Yeah.
giveaways.
Yeah.
You feel they got out physical a good chunk of the night too?
No.
They seem to really be physical.
No, I don't think we got out physical.
Didn't feel that way.
Didn't feel that way.
The early second half, Strev drives it down, and like you said, picked up the goal line, and then they come right back and score. How hard the 1-2 punch is that to overcome? Like, how do you say
Yeah, I
that?
thought there are parts of the game that we responded well. We throw an interception, then Homey gets a pick back. There was certainly, they pin us deep on on special teams, and we drive off the doorstep and hit a big shot. I mean, Calgary doesn't give up a lot of explosive plays, and we hit one to get off the doorstep there, right? So I thought there was some better complementary football, but it was surrounding some not so good football. But I thought the response, especially to some plays that went against us, was pretty good for a spell there. We just couldn't keep it up.
When's the last time you heard a home crowd like that?
Heard?
Yeah.
I didn't hear them. They were gone.
They were gone early.
Yeah.
But when they were still here, they're giving you guys the business.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. I just noticed that they were gone early, which is not a great night for them. Obviously, we want to do better for our crowd. They do great for us.
Dalton out, obviously you're looking for a receiver to step up, and Nick had a single game career high, 174 yards, I think it was. I thought on temp speed.
Yeah, he was having a day early for sure.
Defensively, do you feel like you're getting enough pressure right now?
Yeah, once again, I think Vernon is very slippery, so we get pressure, and then he manages to spin around and escape and whatever. He's always done that. He's pretty good at it, obviously, and he made us pay a couple times with it. But he is pretty slippery, so you can get pressure. It's hard to bring him down.
So I'm just thinking back to week 2, like Nathan Rourke, very slippery. You guys were harassing him all game. Every catch, it seemed like, on the backhand was contested. And tonight, maybe just not as many contested catches, maybe not quite as much pressure. Is there a reason the defense has trended in that? Is it just VA playing that well? Or?
I think VA's playing pretty damn well. Yeah.
But is there any, like, do you feel like
I think VA's playing pretty damn well.
Do you feel like your defense?
No, of course we could execute better. But anytime, win or lose, you're going to want to execute better. I mean, it's pro sport. Nobody is happy. There's no such thing as a perfect game, and nobody is happy with every play they have, right? And then maybe you don't execute as well as you'd like to, and you play in a hot quarterback right now.
There's head coach Mike O'Shea moments ago inside Princess Auto Stadium following the Blue Bombers' second straight loss this season and second straight to the Calgary Stampeders, 41-20. Darrin Bauming, Jeff Hamilton, Game Day After Dark here on Bonfire Sports. Schnitzer away in New York City, and he will be back next week. But questions abound right now. Everybody in the live chat talking about Marquise Bridges, Terrell Bonds, Chris Streveler, Schoen versus Kenny Lawler and Cody Case and Dylan Mitchell and all of these personnel questions. But for my money right now, Jeff, it's the collective mentality of this football team that's going to determine how they play through this middle stretch of the season at 3-2, losing the season series to the Stampeders, who look like the power in the league right now. No doubt the power in the league right now. And, if you're without your starting quarterback and you're without your number one receiver, for a stretch of time here with Schoen on the 6th game and unknown about Zach Collaros, it's going to be the collective mentality. What's between the ears of, to a man inside that room?
Oh, I mean, we hear it from Mike O'Shea all the time, right? Everyone's a starter. We're about to figure that out, right? We're about to get an answer on that. Especially with this team. If you're looking at this season, if you're the coaching staff, you're the Bombers, you're looking at this year as we haven't been able to figure out Calgary, right? That's essentially what you're wondering through your first 5 games. What is it about Calgary that we can't seem to figure out? And there's a lot of teams that just don't play well against other teams, right? I mean, there's other teams that have the Stamps obviously have something on the Bombers as far as understanding their schemes, understanding what they do. I mean, Dave Dickinson's been looking at it. But I'm just saying that that's your issue right now, right? In back-to-back weeks, as far as the season goes, now you're looking at how you're going to move forward in the injuries, right? I mean, the quarterback's the big one. The Bombers aren't going to go out and get somebody. They're going to play with who they have. There is no Zach Collaros situation waiting in the wings where someone's in the civilians watching a team's practice that has a good pedigree. And the way, Cody Case is a prime example. Mike O'Shea is going to go loyalty over anything, and it's gonna, and I mean, you can pull your hair out and you can hate it, right? Yeah, like they're not gonna go out and try to find a guy, even if Zach goes on, say, the 6th game. If he goes on, if he's expected to miss that many games, I think it's Streveler or Terry Wilson. I mean, much like the Dylan Mitchell situation, Cody Case has been here longer. And that's why, essentially, he got into the lineup when Dalton Schoen got hurt. So using that logic, it's going to be Chris Streveler, and then it's going to be Terry Wilson, because Terry Wilson was 100%. The guy that they tapped on the shoulder. And that's the other thing that didn't really get broken down
there anyway.
Last year. It was like Mike O'Shea went back to went to Terry Wilson in a Grey Cup. Like, why did you even pick up Jarrett Daggy?
Contingency, I guess.
But I'm just saying, that they're not going to find, even if they do pick up a guy, he's going to sit on the sidelines, and he's going to sit on the sidelines, and he's Dolegala. I don't know why I said
Dolegala. Yeah, Daggy Dolegala. I mean? Yeah, I knew what you meant though, for sure.
But you know what I mean? Like, the guy had wins. He beat the Bombers before. And when it came time to put in a guy who had seen the lights opportunity to put in a guy who had seen the lights before, had won games in this league.
Mhm.
They went to a guy who they've had on their practice or in their lineup working with them, getting reps with the third offense, second offense sometimes. They went with that guy, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the mentality that a Mike O'Shea brings. All the good and all the bad. I would say it's a bad thing about him, to be honest with you. Like, he's a loyal guy. He goes with guys he likes, and it can be at the detriment to the team. I mean, he doesn't see it that way, right? Like, you'll never convince him, and you certainly won't get him to say after a mistake that you might think's a mistake that he would do something differently. He'll die on every single hill that he has to, right? So in this situation, like, I hate to be that's assuming 𝘎𝙥 Collaros is out, and I think there's some things that are not necessarily positives, but I thought Zach kind of jogging off the field there a little bit. Again, don't think that means anything. You can do that with a rattled head. You might even be testing your head out of that. So I'm not putting too much stock into it. Zach not coming back. Zach's the kind of guy who wants to come back. And we're not in the
sideline.
I don't even know about that necessarily. But yeah, to your point, he would want to come back. He wouldn't want to come back and not play. Like, I could see him. He's the kind of guy who would be more pissed off that he can't play.
But remember when he was suspended?
He
said he went insane because he couldn't be on the sideline. He couldn't be visible to the cameras, right? So he's, on the treadmill and pacing in the weight room, and, it drove him nuts. So that tonight he wanted to come back onto the sideline, even with the camera visuals and all. He wanted to be there for his teammates and show them, I'm okay. I'm not dead, right?
Yeah.
So
it's not what it's kind of, though, even if it is concussion protocol, like, you don't just come out in the bright lights and the loud noise and all that stuff, right? That also plays into it. Like, it's, credit to the fans. They are a loud bunch. So that those sensory things, like, those things would play into it too, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'll disagree with you a little bit to your point you made earlier about the Stampeders having the Bombers' number. They absolutely had their number in the Stampede Bowl. No doubt. They beat them up and down the field. And, I touched on that earlier with the 2 picks on the road, pick sixes, you're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Calgary was dominating Winnipeg prior to the Collaros injury. And I don't think it would have been a 20-point Stampeders win if Collaros stayed in the game. I really don't. I think the offense would have looked a lot more dynamic than it did with Chris Streveler. So
how can you say that, though? 𝘎𝙤 Collaros had 2 picks and he got hurt in the second quarter. So he wasn't protecting
what was the
ball.
score when he
wasn't
got hurt?
Playing well.
I'm just wondering, what was the score when he got hurt? It was a pick on that play. But when he got hurt,
it was 6.5 minutes left in the second quarter. And they were down 17-13.
Yeah, it was a 4-point game. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. 𝘎𝙤 had an interception that responded to him. Whoops. I got some things going on here. Hang on a second. I just don't think it was a foregone conclusion. Calgary's
I agree with you. I'm not suggesting it's a foregone conclusion. And I mean, it's hard. Even if they would have won by 4 points or 3 points, they still have the Bombers' number. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that, I don't think that it's a surefire Bombers win. I think, to your point, though, Collaros had 2 interceptions, as I said, but he also had 151 passing yards, right? And there was 6.5 minutes left in the second quarter. And obviously, 𝘎𝙤 Collaros brings a hell of a lot more to your offense than any other options Winnipeg has. So, I agree with you. I think it's a battle, but I don't think Winnipeg necessarily wins. And if they don't, like, to my point is, I just think you're looking at 2 losses against the same team. Of course, this was a more convincing win in the sense it was by 20 points or whatever. But you're right. I mean, the Stampede Bowl was a complete domination right from the beginning. Bombers didn't really seem like they were in it. This one, the Bombers were in, and you lose Collaros. And the other thing too, and why that was such a backbreaking play, like, you score a touchdown there with Chris Streveler on that drive, and you're looking pretty good. Like you said, it was a mixture of that passing and running. Like, the Bombers looked like a 𝘎𝙤 Collaros led offense on that drive. Yes. And that, just to your point, was an absolute backbreaker. Like, I think that, you looked at the body language of Brady Oliveira when he came off he's kind of didn't have his hands in the air being like, what the hell? But, he looked defeated. It's just one of those plays where it's just like, you put so much work into getting down the field and you're executing and your precision is on. And then to give it up like that, that's just like you needed that in the worst way, especially given the things we're talking about, including Zach Collaros being out.
Yeah. I mean, offenses aren't going to produce and move the ball on every single possession. And Jeff, I'm not speaking, to you or against your point. I'm just speaking generally. Offenses are going to have 2 and outs. They're going to turn the ball over sometimes. And other times, and I think Winnipeg was playing really good football. Like what we're seeing right now is a 6-play, 70-yard touchdown drive where Dembski capped it with a 4-yard touchdown grab. But that previous play was a great kind of jump throw from Collaros. There's Oliveira running a little, but I love this play. I loved this play from Collaros. Escapes pressure and just flips it to Nick Dembski. I think I have to give Nick Dembski my Wallabies Warrior tonight. Just a monster game where he had 1 rush for 27 yards, but led the Bombers in receiving with 7 catches on 9 targets for 146 yards. Had that long of 73. Not the longest of his career. I believe 82 yards. He had a touchdown in 2019, but 3 second down conversions, 47 yak yards out of his 146. He was huge tonight. I just think Winnipeg's, to finish my point, I think Winnipeg's offense was playing well and they weren't, stymied by the Calgary Stampeders defense. Yeah, 2 interceptions, no doubt. Vernon Adams Jr. threw 2 picks early in their win over the Saskatchewan Roughriders last week, and he went on to have a convincing victory on the road. Do you got a Wallabies Warrior tonight?
So does the Wallabies Warrior have to be a Bomber?
Nope.
All right, I'll make it a Bomber anyways.
Okay.
You know what? I thought, I'm not saying he had a great game, but there was a moment in the game where Dietrich Nichols, after the Evan Holm interception, manhandles Dominique Grimes. Like in blocking. And that was after that interception, you saw them couple guys get together. Dietrich Nichols was right in the middle, obviously Grimes. It was because he was grabbing him, and then Grimes did that thing where you're kind of getting dominated physically, and then when you kind of go to the ground, you just kind of roll on him like you did something, like you were kind of running the play, but Dietrich Nichols just grabbed it to the point where I'm like, what's the difference between these guys? What's the and I know, I know Dietrich Nichols, he's not skinny, but he's not a big dude, and I went there 5'9", 178 pounds, and we all know that, especially if you're under 6 feet, you're squeezing out every inch you can get. In your stats or whatever. And then you go over to Dominique Grimes, and he's 6'4", 215. Yeah. So, if we're going to put a Warrior to something, I'll take a moment rather than, and a player who I know you like a lot, but just in that, in that moment, I thought he was, and I don't remember exactly, I guess when was the home interception again? I mean, I'm not saying it was plenty of game left or it was whatever, but early second quarter. Yeah. So obviously was. And I just felt like that moment was looking at it looked crazy to watch from my perch in the press box. This seemingly little Nichols, have his way with Dominique Grimes. Yeah. I don't have that clip, unfortunately, but there's Nick Dembski. I don't think you would. It would have been in the background. Holm was doing his thing while, off to the left. Literally, Nichols was dragging Grimes to the left. That's awesome. I love hearing that. I think DBs in the CFL don't get enough respect. I don't think they get enough love. I think they're too often judged on their interception numbers. When you don't hear of a player, that's when they're playing well.
So it's a tough thing, you know. Dime backers in the league, the Reddick Cramdies, the Derek Moncriefs, Darius Pickett, Tyrese Beverette plays there a little bit. Like, there's some incredible players in this league that play that tough position. A lot of good halfbacks and corners. And Calgary and Winnipeg are pretty stacked with them, and Evan Holm and Dietrich Nichols and Jamal Parker. I think I would probably maybe even put in that conversation, but definitely Damon Webb, definitely who am I blanking? Oh yeah, Derek Moncrief, of course, the dime backer for the Stampeders. Those are just good athletes that I don't think get enough love.
Yeah, Jamal Parker, I mean, not quite there with those guys, but that's only because this is his first real opportunity to prove it, right? You know, he's had a couple good games here, and you're right. He brings something different than Brandon Alexander. Brandon Alexander was more the physical. Now that kind of shifted after his knee injury, but he was more of that hammer style player, right? He's going to hit you, try to crush you. Whereas Jamal Parker is more of your trying to cover a lot more ground as a safety. Yeah. A little bit of a Jordan Younger style kind of safety, I would argue.
Okay, I like that assessment. I think BA was a little bit more Taylor Loeffler, right? Like, I'm going to hurt you.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that kind of pulled back there with his knee, right? He wasn't, but early in his career, man, you're right. Like he would absolutely deliver like one or two BA. Like notable hits that you'd be worthy of talking about after the game. Let's just put it that way.
Nick Dembski's one run for 27 yards tonight. My Walby's Warrior. Great play design on an RPO. Cheeky. That's run pass option and just like gets space, and you see Dembski's quick feet and legs moving. Just a great play there from the Bombers offense.
Got David Sanchez calling me right now. Should we phone him in?
Yeah, right.
Oh, I'm just calling on my phone. Have we talked about the, not to go before the game or outside of the game here, but the Milt Stegall?
Yes. Mentioned it, but yeah, I would love your thoughts, Jeff. You've got a piece. I haven't read it yet because you just tweeted it pretty much right before kickoff of the game tonight, but you spoke to Milt. And people can read that, of course, in the Saturday edition of the Winnipeg Free Press or on freepress.com right now, right?
Online, if you can't wait, run there right now if you have to. Well, I'll stay for a bit here. I got a chance to, I wouldn't say I have a long relationship with Milt, but I've certainly been able to spend time with him over the years I've covered this league and have, like many, have a great appreciation for him and who he is, right? I mean, anyone who knows Milt, man, he's just like, the most energy, so fit, right? Like he's 55 years old and he looks like he's 35 years old. He's just got such an unbelievable perspective on life. He's just one of those guys you want to be around, and again, lucky enough for me, I have been able to do that, including, shortly after he landed today. And we met for 45 minutes or so. And I know he's been written about. Freezer did a great job in the Sun earlier this week too, just, talking about similar things. But I wanted to meet him in person. Like, these are one of those stories that you want to be, across the table from him, not necessarily on a phone. That's nothing to take away from any of those stories at phone interviews. There's just something about being in person. And and of course, I wanted to focus on Winnipeg, right? Like his relationship with Winnipeg, while it's very familiar to a lot of fans here, obviously hardcore Bomber fans who have been supporters of this team for decades and would have watched Milt live. That connection he has, while you see it a lot in sports as far as like, fan bases having their favorite players and having people that they buy their jerseys for and dominate those sales and have, stay for a long time, right? I mean, so I'm not saying this is incredibly unique. However, there's something about it being the Canadian Football League. There's something about Winnipeg, right? And the healing nature of the people we are and the empathetic people that we are and the way we treat those who treat us well, right? And you can apply that to any professional sport team in this city. You treat the fans well, you perform, you be a role model in a lot of ways, right? Like you're someone who has integrity, all those things, you get that back in love like times 1,000. And Milt, was here for a decade playing football, obviously was an unbelievable player. The reason why I think you can make the arguments that there's stars in the CFL is a guy like Milt Stegall, who again had such a special relationship here in the city, and to be in the stadium for what was a minute long plus standing ovation and loudest. I was 15 feet away from Milt when that happened, and you could tell there was emotion on him. Right, he's the guy that and I don't want to say we joked about it, but like. I was nervous I'm not nervous going into a lot of interviews, and with the work I've had on investigative side and in sports, like I've had some very interesting conversations, very interesting interviews. This one I was kind of nervous about just because of obviously the magnitude, but also because, I knew that Milt was going to show up and be the strong one. Like I'm not saying I was weak, but like, and then that proved so, but we were able to get into a lot of things. And I think that, I'm not going to tell you the whole story, obviously, but, and that's just because I don't want to bore you with our time here. But I'd say the takeaway, a thing that I really has always amazed me about Milt was his perspective, right? Like how he is his perspective on life. The guy doesn't swear. The guy eats as clean as he can. He's a gym rat.
It makes him a great football analyst too.
Right. And so like I asked him where his perspective came from, and he said it, like many do, his parents. And I was like, okay, and I said, everyone says that about their parents, right? Like, and when he went deeper and talked about how his dad was born in 1922.
Wow.
So, he went through a lot, and he grew up
Great Depression
in Ohio. And Milt talked about how his dad's grandmother was in slavery, like what we know as slavery, right? Like, and how his dad saw a lot of that growing up, and moved out of his small town in Ohio and moved to Cincinnati, where he still faced an incredible amount of racism and hardship. And yet Milt watched his dad, rise, fund and support his family, his 5 kids, got them all through university, and was a super nice guy while doing it. We'll flip it over to over to his mom, and she worked in the Shriners Burn Institute and took care of children who suffered some of the most awful burns that you can imagine, head to toe, right? I mean, anyone who has known anyone who's been in a burn unit understands what I'm referring to, and the importance and delicacy that it takes to take care of those children, right? And so seeing those things firsthand, he said he had no other choice but to be a nice person, to be a clean, because he, unlike his parents, he didn't have nothing. And so I think that was my big takeaway was, all of that. So, I implore you to go check out the story, but really it's, it just was such a moment today. And I think it's one of the moments that's going to stick with Bomber fans for some time.
Well said, Jeff. Well said. After the ovation, Milt said, and this is a quote here shown in the Blue Bombers Twitter account, "That tops everything in my Winnipeg Blue Bombers career right there." Hearing that ovation and that outpouring of love and support for Milt tonight, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. There's football, and then there's life, and there's family and health and cherished people and moments. It says a lot when someone is decorated as Milt Stegall with heroic moments throughout his career, to say that outpouring of love and support and his, essentially his second day back at work, after his family lost their son, suddenly and tragically, that's awesome. I think Milt, as you said, incredible perspective, and It was his family. He's the child of his parents that taught him that. And then, of course, no doubt he taught that to Chase and, losing.
It's funny though. Like
it's
funny because I said to Milt, because like all I was hearing about Chase was how he just wanted others to succeed. I wouldn't say he wasn't into his own success, but he cared so much about others, and he was, and cared about what their success was like and all that. And I said, well, I'm like, and I said to Milt, I said, you're about, maybe 1 out of 1 of people I know who can get away with talking third person.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Like how do you, like that doesn't exactly sound like a Stegall. And he's like, no, he's like, he was cut from a different cloth or whatever. I wrote cut from a different jersey, but he was just, quite
right.
a little bit different. Right. And
yeah.
And maybe he saw how, I mean, for sure, he has his dad's smile and love of life and all those things. And I think he just found his joy, in seeing others have that joy. And I think that's as Milt said today, I think that's an incredible trait for, a young man, let alone anybody, right?
Yeah. This tweet back from June 3rd, the TSN family dedicates the 2025 season to Chase Stegall, son of Bombers legend and CFL and TSN crew member Milt Stegall after his tragic passing. That's pretty awesome. And there's a great shot of Chase, who looks like his father, Yeah, well said, Jeff. Appreciate that perspective, and encourage people to find your piece in the Winnipeg Free Press or at winnipegfreepress.com. Pulled up Paul Friesen's story there as well. He had shared a little bit of a personal story about the car that Milt wanted to buy off him all those years ago. That's pretty cool.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, on a night where the game was forgettable for Bombers fans, it is nice that there was a special moment, a heartwarming moment, and so many fans saying like that ovation would have gone on and on and on had they not needed to begin the national anthem in the game, right?
Yeah, those people all in the field. Yeah, I mean, credit to the fans there. He felt it. I mean, he was emotional during that. You could see he was shedding some tears and certainly appreciated it.
Yeah.
He thinks it's not, I don't say he thinks it's crazy, but like, he's just like, when we were talking, he's like, I haven't played football in 17 years and there's people there who never watched me play who care about me. And I said, man, that's just, yeah, totally.
That's interesting. Hey,
that's
like, really interesting.
People love me and they never saw me play, and it's like, no, man, because their dad saw you play and their dad's dad saw you play and they know about Milt.
They still talk about
right?
him.
Like,
yeah.
There's that guy. Like, I don't think it.
That's awesome.
Milt would have been. I'm trying to think. I'm turning 40 next year. But
you're turning 40.
I remember being a kid. Yeah, I remember being a kid going to games, and like there were only a handful of guys I remember. Right, Milt Stegall was one of them. Alan Pitts was one of them. I just remember, bringing Calgary Stampeders back into it, just catching touchdown after touchdown. But yeah, like I said, like he was one of those guys that I think just became a household name at a time when the CFL was, on maybe a lot more televisions than perhaps they are now. But I think he carved it out at the perfect time. And again, I mean, it's not just that; it was what he represented, how he spoke. Right, he was so confident. He exuded confidence. People want to be around people who are confident.
Yeah,
and there was arguably no one more confident than Milt. Yeah,
magnetic, right? People that just exude that confidence, exude that energy, right? I think that would probably be a very deserving happy honker moment tonight, and there were moments in this game that I think are worthy of recognition on the football field, right? And here's one. I thought this was incredible, Jeff. This was a 58-yard field goal off the leg of Sergio Castillo. I'm giving that my happy honker award tonight.
Holy, leave some for the kid, man. You
Yeah.
told me before the show that you'd be letting me go first on some of these.
Well,
I
needed to
Happy
segue.
honker. So give me the essence of the happy honker.
The happy honker is the moment of levity, the moment or situation or happening in the game, around the game, even around the league that left you feeling happy. I mean, the Milt Stegall outpouring.
How is the Milt
of love.
Stegall not one of them? I think can I take that one?
Of course
I
you
feel
can.
like not to revisit that moment, but I think, and to your point, DB, like in an otherwise pretty crappy night for Bomber fans, I think that will be the part I think many fans will remember from this one for sure. Yeah, happy honker. I think that's the definition of one.
Okay, just for you, Jeff. You get the happy honker horn.
Right on.
I love having you on the show. You know, you and I had plans years ago, and you know the way you and I chop it up, whether it's Labor Day or Grey Cup week, whether it's FRC executive meetings, as I'm a humble VP to your presidency. I called you El Presidente before you joined us. I know you watch GameDay After Dark religiously, so you'll be catching that replay.
Well, I was just gonna say I'm a religious pregame guy,
Yes.
but I'm usually writing during this time.
Right.
So I can't even catch. By the time I leave, it's not even go. Sometimes I'm catching it on the ride home. I'll put it on my, if I'm out of there sooner than I usually am.
You'll even check it the next day. I know sometimes like it's hard for me to wind down after this because you got the lights and I'm thinking and playing highlights and I get a little bit wired, right? And try to get to bed. Who knows? But often, I'll share this with everybody out there. I wake up to your text message saying, there was actually, like you'll correct me on something. You'll be like,
what is it, Bialy? Your fact checker, your Bialy,
Tony Reale. Yeah.
Around the horn. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about, no, I listen.
You do. And we appreciate it. I mean, I've been listening to your show. Why don't you tell everybody about, we know that they can follow you on Twitter at Jeff K. Hamilton. We know that we can read you in the Winnipeg Free Press, winnipegfreepress.com, of course. And we're going to, people are going to check out your piece on Milt in tomorrow's paper edition or online right now. But tell us a little bit about your other digital media endeavors.
Yeah, CFL 110. Me and Hutch chop it up every Tuesday. I write a column every week for the Winnipeg Free Press, my CFL rundown column, so it's a bit of a pull out of that. And it's interesting this year because we're adding a little bit more of a gambling element in that we, making our picks and whatever. We're sponsored by CoolBet and whatnot. I mean, it's not dominated. For those who don't like, gambling talk, it's not all about gambling. In fact, it's not even half of that. It's mostly about the top stories. And, I feel like this year hasn't been as drama packed as maybe previous years, but there's always 2, 3, 4, 5 things coming out of each game. And, whether it's Luke Wilson, who I met tonight, I know you met tonight as well. Are the Elks going to win? Like it's anyone who loves CFL. And you know what I call it? I call it, your shows, right? I call it my homework. I listen to a lot of stuff. And so like, if you don't watch the CFL and you want to know what's going on a week to week basis, and you want to know what the drama is, and you want to know what people are talking about, that's exactly what we're doing. We're bringing every story people are talking about and more and adding our opinion to it. Right. We're, two guys who are, deep in the sports scene like yourself and have knowledge, a lot of knowledge, and have sources and talk to people and put our unfiltered takes on the ridiculous stuff that happens in this league. And
because it's a ridiculously fun league, right? CFL is the crazy football league. Like it's always kind of nutty. It's awesome.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because like, not to get my origin story, but I really started covering the league in 2016, as we used to work. You were teaching me positions and stuff like that in 2016, even though I went to games as a kid. It wasn't until, 2016 that I had to really get back into the Canadian Football League when I was given my first sports beat. And it's one of those things. And I mean, I know I'm getting paid to do it, but the CFL is the best league to cover. It's the most
No doubt.
ridiculous, gossipy, chaotic
Quirky.
league.
Yeah.
Quirky.
Chaotic.
Mistakes happen. I mean,
Controversial.
just what controversial.
Sean Lemon.
Totally. I wish it could be a little bit. I met with Stuart Johnston earlier this year when he was doing his tour, and he asked me what I thought the league needed, and I've been saying this for a couple years now. The CFL needs to be a lot more like the WWE, and I'm not saying too sensationalist. I'm not saying getting in a mic and yelling and being ridiculous and acting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there needs to be more drama. It needs to be less about wins and losses. It's always going to be about wins and losses, but it needs to
And
have like
professional.
that. Yeah, of course, obviously, but and look at Winnipeg, right? Mike's the opposite of that. Mike O'Shea knows that he needs to do, he's gotten better and he knows the value of media and the importance of media.
Yep.
But he's not gonna, he's not gonna say something about a team, and I'm not saying it again. Like he's
Right.
And
Right.
most coaches won't. But when you look at the heyday, man, when you look at the heyday of the CFL and talk to guys like Paul Frees and other people, like Mike Kelly was a reporter's dream, right?
Yes.
We need more of that
Yes.
ridiculousness, right? It's too serious.
Like
At the team level, right? Everyone's like, and now the social media teams are becoming a lot better. Like, I mean, the Bombers person is great.
Luke Wilson's a great example, right?
That's what I mean. He's
playing
exactly
heel, right?
exactly. We need more heels. We need more tension. We need more, and it extends to TSN, right? And I think you're seeing with Luke Wilson a little bit of a changing of the guard, and there's no surprise, in my opinion, that coincides with the change in management and leadership, right? So, I think it was too nice to the CFL. There's not enough people on TSN that call out the league. That's a fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the panel, like, I like these people, but at the same time, they're not dissing a guy that they know, a coach that they know, someone they work with, a person that they need to cross paths with. I mean, that needs to change, right? Like you need that tension in the league. You need those heels. You need the villains. You need storylines. It can't be all, this is the greatest league. Did you see that ending? Oh my goodness, did you see that? It's like, no. Like they're great moments, but you need to be honest with yourself.
Be more like WWE. Just be more like WWE,
Yeah,
more like be like WWE.
Bring in those, like I want guys saying stuff, like, creating storyline. Not everyone being like massive respect. I'm not talking XFL stuff. Like, remember when Marcus Sayles called the Bombers offense vanilla? You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about that kind of stuff. That got people talking. That created, that kind of stuff, right? Like, we already see it. It happens on the field every single game. People trash talk nonstop from the moment the kickoff starts to the end of the whistle, and sometimes, Darren, after the whistle. So, why can't some of that seep in and create some of that animosity and create interest in games that go beyond having a bet on them?
Hey, what did I say to your Free Press colleague, Josh Fry-Sam, at dinner tonight in the press box? I said, my favorite piece of CFL Canadiana lore is Dave Dickinson saying to Mike O'Shea, and it was essentially, I'll paint the picture. It was Bomber stamps, and the officials made a call that went in the Blue Bombers' favor. And pardon my language, but it's midnight officially right now, Central Time, here on Game Day After Dark. So I'll let it fly the way Dave Dickinson let it fly, and he said, "Fucking Canadian Mafia." And who is he talking about? He's talking about Wade Miller, Mike O'Shea, Kyle Walters, that triumvirate, that trio of Canadians that are in charge of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers football club, right? That, to me, was the CFL encapsulated in a great piece of real, sensational, interesting bit where you have an American head coach and a Canadian run organization and that animosity between them. It was a real moment, and one that has created a nickname for that Blue Bombers trio that will stand forever.
Yeah, exactly. Whether it was making those T-shirts later, or it was the Crumb back when Dustin Crum led that comeback against the Bombers, and they made those T-shirts, or it was chugging the beers in Ottawa, and in the I think you probably it should be. I thought that was a little like, I love that as a CFL moment, but obviously, I don't think you'll be seeing many more guys chugging beers in the stands. But yeah, just kind of a little bit more reckless, if you will.
I like that. Reckless. That's well put. I like that. What is this? I've got, I wanted to show this clip because this is we'll get back to a little bit of actual football talk. Remember when 𝙎𝙥𝙤𝙧𝙯 Nichols went down to injury? What was it, second last play of the first quarter? Stampeders were leading 7-6, and here's the first play. And what happens is safety Jamal Parker steps in at halfback for the injured 𝙎𝙧𝙧 Nichols, and he did return to the game. But great play call from Pat Delmonico, Dave Dickinson, maybe it's Vernon Adams Jr. himself. But they go to the side of the field where Marquise Bridges is kind of left on an island because there's no safety help. They have to go man to man. You kind of get a look at it there. This is Reddick Cramdy. So your dime backer is dropping back, but he comes to the line of scrimmage. So they show safety pre-snap. There's no 𝙎𝙧𝙧 Nichols. So here's Jamal Parker. And watch VA. Looking left, looking left, looking left, to the right. Tons of space. Bridges over pursues. And it allows Tevin Jones to pick up a big chunk play. To your point earlier, Jeff, there it is. There's the Stampeders knowing what their opponent is giving them, and they go and take it. The Stamps, I want to look at their schedule, who they got upcoming here, but I don't think anybody in the CFL is going to is slowing down this train anytime soon. When you beat down the Blue Bombers twice in a row, you play really well against the Calgary Stampeders. Maybe it's Montreal, but I mean, questions now with Davis Alexander pulling his hamstring again.
Yeah, that was ridiculous last night. I mean, great heroic performance, if you want to call it, getting that touchdown. But I mean, you looked at, not to switch games here, but you looked at Davis Alexander early in that game. I mean, he was laboring whenever he was escaping the pocket. Like, he wasn't grabbing the hamstring, but it was like somebody who was clearly unable, is at 100% to run. And laboring is the word, I think covers it. But now what, right? Like that's a similar situation that Winnipeg finds themselves in. I mean, they're going to be having to rely on their backup quarterback. In their case, at least they have one who's got a lot more experience in McLeod Bethel-Thompson, right? I mean, again, Streveler, we've seen the good of Streveler early in the season, and we saw the bad of Streveler tonight. But I think we've still seen enough flashes that you're just going to have to rely on your defense a lot more, right? I don't think that he'll hurt you, but again, you look at that, and I think you look at the overall, and this is unrelated to injuries, but it certainly created a little bit more parity in the East with Alexander missing games, right? Like I see this year as arguably the most parity that I've seen in the CFL. I think, maybe besides, a lot of people, you look at the standings in the East, a lot of people had Ottawa to take big steps after, I thought last year was interesting with Ottawa. Right? It was viewed as a big step because they hadn't made it to the playoffs since they'd won the Grey Cup many years earlier, pre-COVID, right?
Yeah.
And then they finished last year like 9-8-1. It wasn't like they were,
that's right,
impressing.
Yep.
But at the same time, they're a team that a lot of people had. They might be able to come back. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, not having Drew Brown, Toronto, they don't have Chad Kelly. You over to the West, man, and the West is a mess. I mean, you look at the BC Lions. They're feeling good about themselves. Are they favored against Saskatchewan tomorrow or this week?
I think by 1.5. Here, let me refresh this. Covers.com has a bunch of books.
Oh, there you go.
2.5 point favorites.
2.5. Yeah.
Sask opened as favorites.
Which is like, I get Nathan Rourke has played well. But much like we look at some of the other teams in Winnipeg losing twice to Calgary, winning twice, against BC. BC's got 2 wins against the Edmonton Elks, and the Edmonton Elks are doing the same thing to all teams, losing. So, I don't know why that would be. I like that Samuel Emilus is back in for Saskatchewan. That guy, that helps a lot. I mean, he eats up yards, and he's a yak master, right? Like he creates plays that gives energy to the rest of the offense. So I don't understand, outside of maybe it being on the road, why they would even be, factored that way when, they had a tough outing against Calgary, but I'd argue that's a wake-up call. So we'll see. I mean, that being said, this is the crazy football league. So it's, PC might absolutely ruin them. Hey, who knows? Maybe the Riders are starting their annual 7-game losing streak. Maybe that was their loss last week, right? And so
then they'll turn it on right at Labor Day, right?
It's going to go into exactly. Yeah. Maybe it's at the right time. They built themselves up a little bit more, fall off a cliff, come back out. But to that point, though, you look at the West, and there's going to be teams throughout this season that are going to catch fire, right? There's going to be each one. I would argue each team in the West, including the Edmonton Elks, are going to go on a multi-game win streak at some point in this season, right? That was if you looked at last year, horrible start. What was it? 1-7, 1-9, wherever the Elks started before, they made that change. But they ended up, I remember it was back-to-back weeks. The Hamilton Tiger Cats were doing the same thing. They had a horribly slow start. And I remember asking at Hamilton about why you're the hottest team in the league. You're playing against the Bombers, and the week before the same thing was Edmonton. The Bombers went into Edmonton. Edmonton was one of the hottest teams in the league because they were so desperate at the midway mark of the season that they reeled off 5 wins in 6 games. Yeah. Here comes Winnipeg. Everyone's talking about how great the Edmonton Elks are, and then the Bombers beat the bricks off them. I'm in Hamilton the next week, and I go, how do you prevent it? Same story, right? And Winnipeg ended their season. That was a long roundabout way of saying there's going to be momentum swings here. There's teams like we saw Montreal last year build up a big lead and then coast the rest of the way. We saw Toronto do that the year before. So there's going to be pockets of opportunity for teams to get in, and there's going to be, for the Ottawas and the Edmontons, a serious focus on urgency to get back in, and they're going to be playing playoff football midway through the year.
Winnipeg's 0-4 start last year had me asking Adam Bighill about his rookie season with the BC Lions. They went 0-5 to start the year, and they ended up winning.
That was a narrative we always brought up with Winnipeg back in their brutal days, where it was hey, remember that BC Lions team that turned things around?
Yeah, well, everyone remembers it because they won the Grey Cup against Winnipeg in Vancouver, right? Was that a Buck Pierce team? Yeah, that was a Buck Pierce Blue Bombers team. Yeah. So
Odell Wilson didn't get that interception. That was that big moment. He dropped in Odell dropped an interception, and it was a key moment in the game. Yeah, I remember I was watching that in Ottawa, South Free University.
Yeah, I remember I was in my uncle's basement. Always remember that game. I think I was covering it for chrisd.ca.
What do you think of Sean Lemon coming back?
Oh, I was wondering if you were going to ask me. I understand people who are saying you bet on yourself to win. What's the problem? With betting and professional sports, I think there has to be no gray area.
That's such an idiot take, man. That's an idiot take. The idea that betting on yourself is somehow legit. No, not yours.
Yes.
People who have that take, not your take. That people who have the take that I bet on my own team. Are you serious? There's you can
You're
literally. I don't say this. I literally don't say this as a joke. Everyone knows my investigative work. I don't say this as a joke, but it's a fact. You can literally beat your wife and play football. You can't bet on games. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows the integrity. We're talking NFL. You can throw your partner on a bed of guns. We've seen this. There's several examples. You can do horrible, heinous things that society would not agree with, even the worst people in society would not agree with, and you'll get a chance to play football.
If you can help a team win, they're going to
You
find you,
mess
and
with
you're
the
going to get an
integrity
opportunity.
of the league.
Yeah.
You mess with the integrity of the league, and the highest issue of integrity for any league is match fixing. Because once that happens, no one will trust betting. No one will trust games. You lose trust in fans. That's why, like, you know, he's guilty of that, but he's also guilty of being a complete moron, right? And here's the thing: the CFL doesn't want Sean Lemon in the league. The CFL is pissed. Like, I have to look deeper into how he can come back in this, but like, it's amazing, man, how like the CFL like doesn't want Sean Lemon in the league for betting on games and probably some other stuff or whatever. But like,
did Montreal sign him?
Yeah, he signed already. Yeah, Montreal.
So he's got to serve a 2-game suspension.
Yeah, for a drug policy though.
Yeah, for performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah,
this is the whole thing with where Sean Lemon is in his career. He was under an indefinite suspension, and the CFL lifted this indefinite suspension. They could have just let it ride until his career's done. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's what they thought they were doing.
Yeah, but then there's the Alouettes signing. Like, is there no communication between teams?
Well, no. I mean, the Alouettes in the league are obviously not on the same page. The Alouettes want him in the league. The league doesn't.
They'll keep him suspended.
So,
I just think it makes the league... Like, Jeff, we, the media, got a press release, 10 days ago that the CFL has a new gambling partner, right? A new betting thing, like through the province of Ontario or whatever it is. Like, it was in the press release. And then they allow a guy to come back into the league that bet on a game he played in. Insane.
Well, I mean, there was obviously something behind, with the CFLPA and whatnot. Like, I mean, so yeah, we'll see. I mean,
but they had an indefinite suspension. Hold it. It's indefinite.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Well, we're on the same page. Look, the Bombers are, before we wrap things up, and I mean, we probably have to hand out some game balls. And Westwood wide to the right. I don't know if we got into that. Mine is the Willie Jefferson hit. Unnecessary. But we'll get into those in a second. I know I'm kind of just glazing over.
You're going to announce yours and then say we're going to get into this in a second.
You got a Westwood wide to the right.
Well, did you want to revisit the Westwood wide to the right later?
I'm going to play a little Chris Streveler.
Okay. And so the Westwood wide to the right is not, has you not feeling good?
Just the thing that you could say the league allowing Sean Lemon back in is your Westwood wide to the right. I'm
going to say Chris Streveler's pick 6.
Okay.
That was awful. Like, it was just like,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Webb pick 6.
Yeah. 15 yard.
Well, you're gonna make me pull it up now. Let's see if I got it.
I don't know. You want to show Bomber fans that, man?
Well,
that's ugly.
You know what Mike O'Shea says: you win and you learn, or you lose and you learn more. Right.
True.
I don't know if I have it. Oh yeah, no. There's here we go. Because I want to see it. I don't know about everyone else out there, but I don't want to pull the wool over my eyes. I want to see what happened. So this is, that's really bad. I don't know what more you can say. That's horrible. What I do think is a little bit reassuring for Bomber Nation right now, like the tiny bit of silver lining. Oh man, no vision, none. A tiny bit of silver lining is that when Jason Hogan, the offensive coordinator, put together a game plan for Chris Streveler in week 1, I know you have the benefit of, there being no film on a team. Week 2, Winnipeg's week 1, Winnipeg's first game. But I thought Chris Streveler played incredibly well, did a lot of things people didn't expect him to, myself included, and using his arm effectively. I think that's a reassuring thing that if they have to be without Zach Collaros for a stretch of time, or maybe it's just next week in Toronto, Hogan has shown he can put a game plan together that'll work. for Streveler.
Yeah, I mean, they got to get back to the drawing board. The problem, not the problem, but one of the things, too, is that Ryan Dinwiddie is an incredible coach. And he is going to be pissed. Like, losing by a single point after leading by, 18 points at one juncture of the game? Like, he is going to be pissed. So it's going to be about, like it is every week, going through the tape, correcting your mistakes, sharpening, and scouting, right? I mean, you look at Toronto's defense, they're a good defense. They're a week late, or a couple weeks late, I guess, Winnipeg, and that they didn't get that window of Winton McManus being injured for a couple games. That, he's the heart and soul of their defense, and his impact was seen certainly against Montreal, even without the win. But Toronto's a hard team to play at home. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
I don't think I would not be surprised at all. Well,
but Jeff, they're 1-5. They're terrible.
Yeah. Well, they're not awesome. That's for sure. I'm not saying they are. And certainly, I just look at their performance against the Davis Alexander-led Montreal Alouettes on the road. And like I was saying before, they're in urgency. They're in the world of urgency right now, right? They need to get things done immediately. They need to turn things around, even in an East Division that is struggling, because as we talk about the West, that crossover is looking more and more likely. So they need to figure it out. Dinwiddie isn't used to not making the playoffs. So,
well, and they've got 9 days between games. The Bombers have 8. So like the Bombers go from Friday tonight to a Saturday game in Toronto. Toronto goes from a Thursday game in Montreal to a Saturday game at home. So like they got an extra day of prep. And yeah, no doubt they're going to have a really bitter taste in their mouth, like so close to beating the best team in the East, the best team in your division, and come away with a loss. Got a quick word, just about 90 seconds from Chris Streveler following tonight's game. Could be the Blue Bombers starter moving forward.
I'll try to put into words what that feels like.
Losing never feels good, especially in front of our home fans. We got the best fans in the league, and we didn't play up to our standard today. But we're going to use this feeling to fuel us to have a good week of preparation next week.
And when it's back-to-back weeks, back-to-back games, add to it, to frustration or similar scores?
One game at a time.
Yeah.
Just didn't play our best today.
How big was that stretch there? Early second half. You're driving. You get down to the 7. The pick of the
obviously
line,
you can't throw picks in the red zone, right? So we got to take care of the ball, especially in a close ball game like that. That's on me. I got to be better. I don't think anyone played their best game tonight. So, like I said, we're going to use this as motivation to work hard this week and be better.
What is it about Calgary that makes them so good?
They're a good team. They're a good team, but I think when we watch this tape, we're going to look in the mirror a lot and see missed opportunities and mistakes and things that we need to clean up. And that's always where our focus is, on how we can be better.
Coming off a bye and a loss before that, were you surprised you didn't execute better?
Yeah, I always expect us to play up to our level. A lot of games in the season. So, it's disappointing. I want to play better. Everyone wants to play better. It's a disappointing feeling. But all you can do is take this, watch the tape tomorrow, learn from it, and be better moving forward. That's all you can do.
You mentioned the crowd. When's the last time you heard them like that?
Like what?
I don't know if you paid attention, but there was some boos that we haven't heard for a while.
I'm locked in on my job.
Yeah, okay.
All right, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, man.
Chris Streveler, locked in on his job. I mean, I wouldn't want to answer that question either, but I'll always give Paul Friesen credit for asking some of those tension-type questions in those moments.
When did you first hear the Boo Birds?
Well, I left at halftime.
Okay, yeah. So I heard them first midway through the third. I think it was after at least one of those interceptions. But yeah, you could hear them. They were coming down pretty heavy. There's no doubt in my mind that Chris Streveler heard those boos.
Strev seems pissed, says J.W. Bartel. You think? He's pissed, all right.
Pissed. Oh, yeah, he's pissed.
And for the record, I didn't leave at halftime because, back in the day, they used to jingle keys. Like when fans would leave the game early, they'd jingle their car keys at them. I remember that when I was a kid.
Beat the traffic, of course.
But I left at halftime so I could get back here to the Bonfire Studios to bring you guys video highlights and Game Day After Dark here on the channel.
All right, now you're done patting yourself on the back. What's next?
Patting myself on the back. I feel bad I got to leave at halftime all the time.
You know what, though? I left for this show with 6 minutes left. I just beat the traffic. Like there was lots of people leaving. I was out. I actually was having a conversation with the a high school football guy as I was walking through and whatnot. But but there was a ton of people, and like I got to give the parking people credit. They have things working. Maybe I'm wrong. It was my one experience. It was with six. Like I said, I left.
I've heard similar things
in the game.
Yeah.
But I got out of there pretty quick. Like they have those like colorful wands, and they're directing people, and they're actively not letting you get screwed over in the rows if you got a row of cars in front of you to turn. So yeah. Anyway, credit to them.
Yeah,
it's not an easy job.
You giving them a game? You giving them one?
And I imagine there wasn't a lot of happy fans leaving early or later, right? So they probably had to deal with a lot. Yeah.
You giving them one of your game balls tonight?
Traffic I would give one of my game balls particularly to the Subway. So what would that be? The unofficial tailgate or the official unofficial tailgate?
The Subway.
The Subway soccer complex.
Oh, Subway Soccer South. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, now you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one where has all the people barbecuing and stuff like that, and
yes,
it's one of the more livelier tailgates. And I'd say the official, unofficial, because they have a tailgate. Like the Bombers have a tailgate, right? I heard it's actually pretty decent.
So there's that one, right? That's
CGOP does their stuff.
That's the West. That's Tailgate West, if you'll call it that. And then there's the Bombers tailgate on the east side of the stadium. But then there's Fan Tailgate East, which is kind of in the St. John's College Investors Group Athletic Center.
So there are other pockets of tailgating going on besides I know there's across the street from the Subway Soccer Complex. Like there's people there doing it there, but and so is there a lot but I always thought most of the action, if you will, existed in that lot. The other
you got to get over to the other side. St. John's College, obviously. Investors Group Athletic Center, that kind of pocket in there, just in the U of M, the east side of the stadium, like the other side of University Crescent.
Okay.
That's Bonfire tailgate. Like they're listening to Walby. They're listening to Game Day Winnipeg over there. I know that for a fact. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
But I mean, there's no better city to be a Bombers fan. There's no better city to be a CFL fan than in Winnipeg and the Bombers fans. Like the city has embraced this team, the culture, the summer energy that it's nuts. What is it? 8 straight sellouts?
8 straight sellouts. Yeah. There's a good chance that the Bombers or the fans sell out every game this year. I don't know when the last time that would have happened.
Country night, not next week, next game. Winnipeg is in Toronto on Saturday, July 26th. That's a 6 p.m. kickoff, Winnipeg time, in Toronto on Saturday. And then, back home Friday, August 1st. That is country night.
Country night.
Yeah. You know what? I wonder if they'll sell that game out. The Seabears game is on at the exact same time. Both 7:30 starts, both in Winnipeg. And we know the Seabears, they had 8,000, they had almost 9,000 last night.
They're hurting right now, no?
The team's struggling. But they've had a lot of roster turnover. But because they are hosting the CEBL Championship weekend, the Winnipeg Seabears have an automatic berth in the Western Conference Final.
Western Final,
yeah.
They can change their team. They could change their team before the Champions Weekend and be in the division final, right?
Yep.
So
they could. Yeah, the CEBL is nuts. You talk about that's the crazy elite basketball league. As the CFL is the crazy football league. It's nuts. We'll leave it at that. You got any game balls? You give
I think there's. I mean, I give a game ball obviously to Nick Dembski. I thought Nick Densky had 146 yards through the air. He had the one run for 27 yards, which was a super cheeky play by Jason Hogan. And so I think he's certainly deserving of a game ball. Couldn't get much going. I think he had 116 of his 146 receiving yards in the first half, which isn't great. But not a lot of guys performed in that second half. So, he's definitely one of them. You got someone?
It's definitely Dembski. I would have given one to Evan Holm, but that PI late.
I think Brady Oliveira deserves a game ball. He's got over 100 combined yards. It wasn't 68 yards on 15 carries, 4.5 yard average. Not great, not horrible. 2 runs over 10 yards, and then he added 5 catches for 40 yards.
Yeah, involved in the pass game.
Some of that was in garbage time, though.
Some of that was in garbage time. Yeah. You could give one to Dietrich.
Yeah. I already gave him my Warrior.
You gave him your Warrior. Yeah. You notice there was a lot of Joey Corcoran tonight? Like, they had him in a lot. I don't know if the bomb, like, maybe this is a little bit of inside baseball or minutia, whatever you want to call it. Like, but it was almost like the Bombers early in the game, they had Dembski, like they had their 3 Canadian offensive linemen. They had Dembski, they had Clercius, and they had Joey Corcoran, Canadian 2025 draft pick, Canadian receiver. They had them all on the field at the same time. Like, it's almost like they were banking Canadian ratio snaps so they can, like,
I thought I heard tanking.
No, banking.
Trying to lose.
I'm not going there. I'm not going there tonight. Game balls, like,
can we give game balls to the opponent? Yeah, VA deserves one. I think I think he's the kind of guy when he starts off hot, he gets super excited. So he ends up throwing did he have one interception? I think he had at least one interception.
Yeah.
One interception, and then you think it might go south a little bit, but no, he's leading that team, man. You can see it. He's bringing out the most of his, he's got that connection with Dominique Rhymes. What you're seeing with Damian Alford, that chemistry, that's looking pretty special right now. And he brings that excitement, that energy, and most importantly, that belief. So I think, certainly would give VA one. I think,
I know
DJ Mills. Who do you want?
58-yard field goal, Sergio.
It's crazy though. Like, you seem so impressed by that. That's not even, he hit 260s last year.
Yeah, but come on.
Yeah,
you pound one from 58.
Oh, I don't think, I'm not saying he's not deserving of a game ball, but it's just like, you kind of expect him to make those now, which is crazy because there's a couple kickers in particularly that wouldn't even go out for that, right? They're not even trying that.
Yeah.
And that's probably a majority, actually. I'm trying to think of what team do you think would bring like their kicker out for a 58-yarder with 5:20 remaining in the first quarter in a trailing 7-0? How many, honestly?
You know what? Sean White, I don't think has that power.
Sean White would be the least likely guy to come out.
Yeah. But I can't think of somebody who is that veteran and trustworthy.
Liram
Paredes,
maybe?
Hey?
No. Paredes can't make 58. He doesn't have the leg.
Needs the wind.
Liram Hau'oahu might.
Liram, yeah. I've got a friend of a friend in the family who was involved with Liram's family coming over from Kosovo, introduced him to his wife, who's also a refugee to Canada from Kosovo. They just had their first baby. So got married a couple years ago. So congratulations to Liram and his new bundle of joy. I got a picture. Won't show it, private, of course, but haven't had permission to share it. But beautiful family that Liram's got. It's amazing when you go from
holding on to photos of Liram's children.
No, just got one. That's all. Had it shared with me. It's like, here's Liram's new baby boy. And it's like, oh, very cool. Wow.
I remember Liram, he had a rough exit in Winnipeg.
Mm-hmm.
to the point where we'd go to Toronto and he wouldn't talk to us. Finally, he finally spoke to us.
Yeah.
And by us, I meant, the Winnipeg reporters or whatever. But
yeah.
Um,
Well, and same with Leggio, right? Mark Leggio.
well, Mark, no, on Mark's credit, Mark never dodged us.
No, Mark, that's true. I'm just saying he had a rough departure from Winnipeg.
And now look at him now, man. He's killing it.
Rolling.
Yeah, he's killing it, man. Yeah,
what,
good for him.
30-something in a row, or what is he at?
It's getting up there. I remember for some reason 23 sticks out, but I feel like that was a few games ago.
I don't know. I feel like he's like at 32 or something.
I was going to say, maybe that, hey, I'm, switching the numbers. 32 sounds just as familiar. But no, I mean, he's doing great.
After dark. This happens.
And and at the same, it wasn't, I think that year though, that year, obviously that what was it? 22. Yeah. 22 Grey Cup in Saskatchewan. I mean, that was an interesting year. They
Robbie
went with
Smith
him.
Block.
They weren't
Would he have made it if Robbie Smith didn't block it? Ooh,
no chance. Absolutely
remember?
no chance.
You remember the controversy?
But that he was put in a hard spot. A lot of. But you know what, man? Like that's who cares? No one cares what position you were put in. You're a kicker in professional sports. Your job's to kick the ball. Yep. Players like you, they don't necessarily respect your role. They respect your role when you drill 58-yarders like Sergio. I'm not saying people don't love their kicker, but they love you when you make kicks. Your job's to go out there and make kicks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think the main bright spot tonight was this young man from West Winnipeg, Oak Park's own Nick Dembski. This was a 73-yard catch and run, part of 146 yards receiving tonight. Walby's Warrior, game balls, happy honkers. People have given him in the live chat tonight, given him nods for those and a lot more. Definite bright spot for the Blue Bombers tonight. But I mean, Nick Dembski, what an athlete. What a Winnipeg product. I'm always conflicted, Jeff. It's like I want to say it how it is, but then I got a little empathy, a little bit of feel for Bombers Nation out there. I'm usually doing this show with a man who wears the blue-colored goggles and the chain and the rest, right? A super fan in 𝘎𝙧𝙚 Schnitzer. So I feel for the fans. Some don't want to hear about the silver linings. They want to go, wow, Collaros is hurt and the defense stunk, and we got, we're on a bender. We're on a 2-game bender.
I think I don't think you're pushing the panic button. I mean, the team's 3-2. We, as you talked about, this team was 0-4 last year. Clearly Calgary is better than Winnipeg right now. But to your point, they did lose their starting quarterback in the second quarter in this game. That could have changed things. Certainly wouldn't have guaranteed it to be worse. But again, I don't see this as a big deal. I mean, the fact of the matter is, you don't like the narrative around your team, go win next week. You win next week and everyone's talking about how great you are. That's how it works in a league where you play once a week, right? You have to feel the loss the whole week, or you feel the win the whole week. You feel, and that's, speaking of fans, I mean, it's a tough one. You're tasting some of your own medicine right now. I think a lot of Bomber fans, I love you, but you've gotten fat over the years. And, I mean, this is a team that's gone to 5 straight Grey Cups, and I'm not defending the Bombers, but what I would say is that, now, the expectation is so high that in the locker room, the players have told me when they win, they feel relief.
Yeah.
That's where it's gotten in Winnipeg. The expectation has gotten so high that players just feel relieved after winning games. And, and so you look at this game, and that's the beauty of being a fan, right? That of living the highs and living the lows and loving your life when the Bombers are getting it done and hating it. The reality is, especially at home, you haven't had a lot of bad days. The Bombers had a bad day today.
Yeah.
Those happen. They happen to all the good teams. But I think what we've seen from Winnipeg, and that's the other thing too about this game, to go in a bit of a different direction. Bombers didn't win after a bye week, and that's rare. Right. So, but again, you got Toronto coming up here. opportunity to flip the script, get back in that race in the West, and again, it won't be easy. Toronto's not a pushover, even though they're 1-5 right now. They're going to be pissed off, and they play well in Toronto. And again, Ryan Dinwiddie's a good coach, and we'll see what happens with their roster here over the next next 2 weeks. But at this point, I mean, don't let it ruin your weekend. Have those good feelings about what the fans did for Milt. Understand
Gabe Vilardi signed a long-term
deal.
deal.
It's going to be Gabe Vilardi is going to be
Parker Ford.
Parker Ford. Kevin He, did he also ink?
Oh, did he sign the ELC?
I thought I saw that. I saw that.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, it's been pretty good to be a Bomber fan. So take your licks. I'm getting chirped on Twitter right now for my tweet a month ago, saying that the Stamps were a mirage. Which is, I definitely was wrong on that. Calgary is the best team in the league. I said that on CFL 110 this past week too. I said there is absolutely no doubt.
They lost to Dustin Crum.
Yeah, and they lost to Dustin Crum. Exactly.
Crummy weather game.
Super crummy weather game, and they had I think that was my take on them, was their inability to punch the ball in from the 1 yard line. And that's not new in the CFL. We've seen that happen a lot, but they had the opportunity to put the boots on them and didn't. But yeah, no, I was certainly wrong in that. But it's good, man. I think it's good for Calgary to be relevant again, right? The Calgary was dominant. You bring up the record of Mike O'Shea against Calgary. That's not back and forth. That's front loaded for Calgary and back loaded. Calgary hadn't beat Winnipeg in Winnipeg since 2017 before tonight. So it's not like it's good for Calgary to be relevant, right? The issue of the last few years has been the Alberta-based teams. So it's good for Calgary to be relevant in this league. It's good for their fair weather fans in Cowtown, because we all know Calgary Stamps fans don't show up unless they're winning games. So yeah, take those silver linings, Bomber fans. Give some of the good joy some of your friends out west. Let them enjoy. Imagine being a fan and your team didn't even make the playoffs in the CFL.
Hey, there's somebody pointed out tonight, Winnipeg and Calgary have won the last 8 West Finals.
Yeah, exactly.
That's insane.
The way we talk about the Bombers when playing the Stamps, obviously prior to these last 2 games, was the exact same way we used to talk about the Stamps when they played the Bombers. They used to kick them, right? The questions we used to ask Mike O'Shea was like, hey, you're going to get a win against the Stamps this decade?
Yeah. You're going to go into McMahon and steal a win? Nobody does.
How many times that guy's been asked how challenging it is for the Bombers to play at McMahon Stadium?
Oh, yeah.
By people in Winnipeg, in Calgary, from Calgary reporters, from anybody who looks at the game notes leading into those games, like the CP reporter who does just a general preview of the game, is eyeing that, being like, you haven't won a game in 9 years against Calgary, right? And then they broke that curse in 2019, and it's been ever since then. It's been the Bomber show against Calgary.
Yeah.
This is your slightly. This isn't your slightly older. This isn't your slightly older brother's. Calgary Stamps, right? This is a different team. So it's, but yeah. Anyways, it's good to see them back being relevant. And you know what? I think it's, sorry, Bomber fans aren't going to want to hear this. It's boring when one team dominates all the time. And I'm not saying it's your turn to take a step back, but it's nice to see some teams punching at each other rather than a 2-horse race in each division. That's not good football.
No. And it's the CFL. We talked about, teams like the ebb and flow of it, right? And like Saskatchewan due for their 7-game losing streak midseason and all those sorts of things. You never know what's going to happen, right? You never know what's going to happen. And for us on the outside looking in, we don't know what's happening with Zach Collaros, but we will watch closely for any sort of update on his potential health. The Bombers, as you mentioned, in Toronto next Saturday, 6:00 Winnipeg time for that road game. Chris Walby will join me on Friday for Game Day Winnipeg and our live pregame show. And, maybe Zach will be back. One Zach that will be back is Zach Schnitzer. He'll join us Game Day After Dark next week.
Dalton Schoen might be 6 games, but there's some hope that it'll be before that. I think Stanley Bryant's going to be back sooner than later. I don't see that one being a long one. So there's
That'll
some
help.
there's some good news here. And I mean, not to make excuses, especially against a team that was missing, equal parts, right? Like in Bryce Bell and Reggie.
Yeah. Kyle
But
Saxelid.
yeah, exactly. Like even more, right? So, but like, what's happened, right? You need to find ways to win games regardless of who your roster is, and we've seen that already up and down the CFL.
Yeah. Well, Hammy, with Schnitzer back next week, gotta say, you've been incredibly generous with your time. I mean, maybe everyone out there doesn't know, but you and I have talked football some nights until the wee hours of the morning. Wee hours of the morning. So this could probably be a 6-hour live stream if we wanted it to be, but it won't be. We do have to.
Thank God.
Yeah. Right. Oh, brutal.
This after dark stuff. Holy smokes! You
Yeah.
guys stay up. My bedtime's like 10
till sunrise.
Holy,
yeah.
I'm an early riser. I wake up 5:30 in the morning, no matter what time I go to bed. So,
well, then
man, a lot of fun. Enjoy doing this. Love talking about CFL Bombers with you. And you know what? It's would it be nice to talk after a win? Obviously, fans are a little bit happier, a little bit more going on. But this is it's a tough loss. But as I said earlier, you just gotta you gotta flush it and get ready for we'll start brewing up the storylines in a couple days and talking about what might be happening against Toronto and I'm sure fans will lick your wounds now. Have Milt in your hearts to take that silver lining away and get ready for what should be a fun back-to-back against the Argos.
Yeah, well, we'll be watching closely. You'll have CFL 110 Wednesday, Tuesday?
Tuesdays at 3:10. Yeah, right out of Huss's show.
Yep, on WST here on YouTube. And then we'll be reading you in the Winnipeg Free Press. Your Milt Stegall piece out now and in tomorrow's print edition. And then your CFL Rundown column Wednesday,
next day Wednesday. Yeah,
must
right
read. Not just saying that. Hammy, awesome, man. Appreciate you, brother. And hopefully we can do this again.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, hey, Bombers lose 41-20 tonight, but Milt Stegall and the love for the Winnipeg legend definitely warmed kind of a misfortune, crummy day for the blue and gold. Thanks again, Jeff. We'll see you soon. And everybody out there in the live chat, thanks for joining us on Game Day After Dark here on Bonfire Sports.